Willie D Live.
What's up, family? This is the story of two young men. Both reside in the good old state of Texas, where I live. Both involved in incidents that resulted in murder. Both were charged, tried, and convicted. The difference is one received a 4-year sentence and the other a 35-year sentence. Family, here is a picture of one of the boys. That's Alec Adamson. That's Alec Adamson from Prosper, Texas. And here is Karmelo Anthony. Karmelo is from Frisco, Texas, which is shared by the counties of Denton and Collin. He was convicted in Collin County. Now, why is this so significant? Why am I speaking on this? What is this all about? Well, fam, you see, you're very familiar with the Karmelo Anthony case, but you may not know enough about this case involving Alec. I want you to hear it. I want you to hear me out now, fam. Little Elm murder trial begins. Friend testifies against 19-year-old charged in fatal drug deal shooting. Friend testified, huh? A 19-year-old Prosper man pleaded not guilty to murder in a Little Elm residence 2023 shooting death at the start of his jury trial Tuesday. His defense team argues that the shooting occurred under duress. Alec Adamson faces a first-degree murder charge in the killing of 19-year-old David Noel Pleasant near a Little Elm neighborhood and park on February 3, 2023. Adamson could face 5 to 99 years or life in prison if convicted as charged. A Denton County jury was impaneled Monday and began to hear evidence Tuesday. This included state testimony from Mason Chiller, also 19, a high school friend of Adamson, who was present for the shooting. Chiller was arrested in connection with the shooting in 2024, but only Adamson is being tried. Adamson is represented by sister-brother defense attorneys Sarah and George Rowland. In opening statements, Sarah Rowland argued that Pleasant was attempting to strong-arm rob Adamson during a drug deal in the defendant's vehicle. She argued that Pleasant was significantly overpowering Adamson and Chiller, and that Adamson fired a gun inside the vehicle to fend off the attack. Though there is video footage of Adamson standing outside the vehicle and extending his arm, Sarah Rowland argued there is no visible recoil or indications that he fired the gun outside the vehicle. Prosecutors argued that there is no evidence the unnecessary and senseless shooting occurred inside Adamson's vehicle. Pleasant was already running away, and any threat to Adamson was not immediately occurring when he fired the gun, the prosecutors argued. On February 3, 2023, after 1 p.m., Little Elm police were dispatched to a shooting call near Night Trail and Paladin Place in the Kings Crossing neighborhood. The first two officers to arrive found Pleasant lying at the bottom of a set of stairs on McCord Park Trail, leading from Paladin Place to Kings Crossing Park. He had an apparent gunshot wound to the back of his head, but was still alive. Little Elm firefighter paramedic Austin Hester testified that Pleasant was still breathing at the scene, but not significantly enough to sustain life. Medics transported Pleasant to a hospital, intubating him along the way. He later died at the hospital. The patrol officer Ramsey Chayet testified to some of the initial investigation on the scene. A girl who identified herself to police as Pleasant's girlfriend was by Pleasant's side trying to rouse him when officers had first arrived. A police affidavit states she was 16 years old. Shia testified that the girl told officers she had contacted someone named Chili through Instagram to purchase marijuana. This led officers to the names of then 17-year-old Schiller and Adamson. Detectives began to surveil their homes, which were located on neighboring streets, Evening Sun Drive and Trailside Drive in Prosper. Now check this out, family. You're going to love this one. A police affidavit states that Adamson left his home on Evening Sun Drive in another friend's car. Detectives attempted to stop the vehicle, which began to evade and crashed a few blocks away. So check this out, family. This guy takes the police on a high-speed chase after he kills someone who was running away from him. He shot him in the back of the head, which is totally inconsistent with his statement. He said he shot him from inside of the car after the guy was trying to attack him. Now, how is he attacking him and overwhelming him, and he gets a chance to shoot him in the back of the head? Wouldn't he be facing him? He must be a bad boy, whooping ass with his back turned. He got to be a bad boy. Alec, I don't believe you. And the jury didn't believe you either. But because they look out for their own, they just gave you a tap on the wrist. They only convicted you because they didn't believe you. They just didn't believe you, but they gave you the tap for the color. Yeah, and because you did it to a brother. Yeah. There's his co-conspirator right there. That's Adam and his buddy Mason. Now, y'all know, fam, if this had been some black dudes in a car, drug dealers, and some 19-year-old white dude went to them to buy some drugs and he ended up dead, both of them would be serving life sentences right now. In fact, they'll probably be on death row in Texas. Now, why am I talking about this? Because, family, I am attempting to compare apples to apples. If you look at both of these cases, there's so many similarities. Both young men involved in incidents where someone they had an altercation with ended up dead. Both are charged, convicted, sentenced. One gets a slap on the wrist and time served. He only did 2 years and he's out. The brother, the black kid, he gets a 35-year sentence. Also, this Alec dude, he's a troublemaker. He's a known troublemaker in his neighborhood. Again, Karmelo, the good kid, 3.7 GPA. Never been in trouble with the law before. Killed someone who was actually bullying him, trying to get him off of him. And they gave him 35 years. That's a picture of David right there. He was on the, looked like school wrestling. I think he was on the school wrestling team. He had his girlfriend with him, a 16-year-old girl. He was out of pocket for that. Nonetheless, he had this little girl with a 16-year-old girl with him. You really think he was going there to rob them, and he beating on them for some marijuana. Come on, family. And then they said, look, it ain't enough that this one white kid can't defend himself. He said both of them couldn't defend themselves against him. He overpowered both of them. But all of a sudden, he's running away from them? And I bet you he didn't have any drugs on him, because they would have mentioned that, right? So you got white guy kills a black guy, these are youngsters. teenagers. Got a white teen kill a black teen who was trying to buy some drugs. In fact, you ain't just got a white teen who killed a black teen. You got a white teen, a white drug dealer. A drug dealer. That's what he was. He was a drug dealer. A drug dealer a white drug dealer kills a teenage black guy. He gets a 4-year sentence. The other drug dealer that was with him don't even get charged. Now, y'all know, fam, anytime you commit a crime and the commission of a crime is supposed to be enhanced. They're supposed to go hard on you. And after all, we don't like drug dealers. Drugs are destroying our country. Somehow, some way, the drug dealer kills somebody and get a 4-year sentence for a drug deal gone bad? Come on, fam. But then over here, you got the bully who gets killed by the honor student, the good kid who gets killed by the bad kid who has a reputation for bullying. He has a reputation for bullying. I'm not trying to pick on the kid. I wish I didn't have to do a report like this. I wish like hell that race wasn't such a damn determining factor in guilt or innocence or punishment or leniency in this country. But people that look like Austin Metcalf made it like this. They run it. They made it like this. These two incidents happened only about 20 miles apart because Prosper, Texas is about 20 miles, that's about 35 minutes, northwest of Collin County. So this is all good old boy system. This whole thing is all good old boys. It's a good old boy system, which is why I tell you all the time, fam, they couldn't pay me to live in one of these old country ass towns. Because these people move to these country towns for a reason. They're not just moving to the country towns for fresh air. They move to these country towns so that they can avoid development, so they can avoid progress. They like it used to be. In a lot of these little small towns, black people have no power. Black people look down when they talking to white folks. They scared to death. Scared to death. Why would you go live somewhere where you scared to death? You can't be free. I say let them have that shit, man. I don't give a damn. Let them have it. They can have it. Ain't no way I'd live in no small country town unless I owned it, unless my family owned it, my friends owned it. I had the total hookup, the only way. We'd have to control the courts. We'd have to control the police department, the survey department, the inspections departments, everything. Yeah, that's what they do. They move to these little small towns because in these small towns, they still got some good little, yeah. Not all. It's going to always be at least one that ain't for no games. But, for the most part, ain't no resistance. See, the problem with moving into these little small towns is that if something go wrong, you're going to have some problems. If something go wrong, if you get into it with one of them, you're going to have some problems. See, and there's little to no oversight in these little small towns also. There's little to no checks and balances. In bigger cities, you got a better chance because it's eyes everywhere. And if something go down, you're not going to be able to hide it. And one person ain't finna terrorize nothing. Ain't one person in a big city ain't finna run nothing. They'll mess around and get their head knocked off. But what say you, fam? Drop a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. No more talk.